In our studio today is Wendell Ganstrom. Did I pronounce that right?
No.
No, I slaughtered it? Give me the right pronunciation, Wendell.
Ganstrom.
Ganstrom. I'm sorry. Well, Wendell is with the Klinefelter barn, and he is the project manager there. And I have to tell you, Wendell, I think we, in that whole Donovan, Northeast Kansas area, need to do a huge thank you note to the Klinefelters, because they donated acreage, this barn, the actual homestead that you're working out of, correct?
Yes.
And they donated all of this to Highland, and what Highland has done with it has really brought enormous attention and some real accolades to all of Northeast Kansas. It's amazing what you're doing up there. If you folks haven't been up to the Klinefelter farm, it's probably one of the high points of agritourism for Northeast Kansas. Wouldn't you say so, Wendell?
Oh, definitely. We have so many different projects going on, not just agricultural projects, but cultural events, educational events. We have Kansas State University Research and Extension conducting experimental plots there on the farm. The Land Institute out of Salina, Kansas, which has been working since the 1970s to develop perennial grain crops, has experimental plots on our farm. And we're just always looking for new ways to promote agricultural education in particular. We work very closely with a group called the Community Foundation of Northeast Kansas and the Brown County Healthy Food Coalition. We've had experimental vegetable plots out there. We have our own vineyard started now, which is a branch of the Highland College Vineyards out at Wamego, Kansas. But Highland College produces its own wine. We are the only college in the state of Kansas that offers degrees in enology and viticulture, and a lot of people don't know what those big words mean.
Yeah, you might explain that to my audience, because
enology is the science of fermenting wine, and viticulture is the management of grapevines in a vineyard.
And that's going so well. The winemaking has won awards, national awards.
Last year was really the first vintage year for that, the first crop that was a vintage year. And our instructors at Wamego went to the Kansas Grape Growers and Wine Producers State Association Convention, and first time deal, our Chamberson Reserve won best in its class, and our Traminette wine won best of show. And I think that's really good for competing against some vineyards that have been in business for decades.
Well, in Wendell, Northeast Kansas, and this is back before, even before our time, Wendell, but at the turn of the century, the state of Kansas was one of the biggest winemaking areas because of westward expansion and that type of thing. But there was a lot of winemaking going on in Donovan County and Atchison County. So I know we've got the land that's appropriate for the grapes. Do you think the Klinefelters had a vision of what this was going to be because this donation has propelled Highland in so many ways to the positive? Do you think they had a vision of what this was going to be?
I think so. The late Ken Babcock, one of my lifelong friends and mentors, and grew up right next door to the Klinefelter farm, knew Johnny Klinefelter very well, told me that Johnny always wanted to do something special with that farm, but he didn't quite know how to go about it. And Kenny told me that based on his knowledge of Johnny, he'd be very pleased with what all we're doing out there.
Well, they were so gracious, because not only did they donate the farm in order to help Highland, but they also donated the money to remodel the barn. Is that correct?
Yes.
The funding was there?
Yes. Johnny's sister, Gloria Plowman, actually donated $200,000 to either refurbish the old farmhouse and or the barn. And after getting some input from architects, it was decided that the house really wasn't worth putting money into, and the college really didn't need to maintain a residence at the farm.
Right.
So that's why they decided to refurbish the barn and turn it into a conference center, because that's much more in line with our college needs of providing education to all of Northeast Kansas.
And I have to say, Wendell, you are amazing. I'm going to call you a Renaissance man, because you're taking the best of history and the best of agriculture, and you're incorporating it into things that people can use for education. The farm is just, it's so cool up there. And I've had an opportunity to be up there for a few meetings, and I haven't gotten to tour everything, but they tell me that you're putting in nature trails. What are the trails going to be like through there?
Well, we have spent the last few years developing a huge trail system. Lindsay Cook, one of our former Highland students, and started out as a student helper for me at the farm. After she graduated, they decided to keep her on working
Everybody
at the
just
farm.
keeps coming back, don't they?
Yes, and she is so talented. She grew up on a farm, and you know, she knows how to run heavy equipment and mechanical things, and loves doing that. And together, Lindsay and I have created well over 5 miles of trails throughout the farm.
Wow.
They are
and they
turf
go
grass
through woods
trails.
and that type of thing.
Yeah, we go through the woods. We have couple of ponds where the trail goes across the dam of the pond. Some of them follow the stream edges right next to crop ground. But it's all turf grass trail. And just last week we were planting a 5-foot wide buffer strip of native grass and wildflowers between the turf grass and the crop ground.
Oh, that'll be beautiful when that matures.
We've really been working on several native grass restoration projects and wildflower things. Just last Saturday, the Kansas Native Plant Society came to the Klinefelter barn to hold their statewide board of directors meeting. And then in the afternoon they opened up to the public a native plant walk where people from the public could come in and walk our trails and have experts help them identify plants. Those people fell in love with the place and they want to come back, and we love to have them back. The farm is actually a member of the Kansas Native Plant Society. We also belong to the Kansas Trails Council, and we try to form memberships or partnerships with different groups so that we can benefit each other. We've been working quite a while with the Northeast Kansas chapter of Quails Forever, and 2 years ago that group funded a quail habitat project on the farm. One of the most interesting things about this farm is its great diversity. John Klinefelter would not let anybody doze out the old hedgerows. We have little hay meadows scattered here and there, and it's just a very beautiful old-fashioned farm. Well, running right down the center of the farm is a hedgerow that's about 2/3 of a mile long, and those are kind of rare in this day.
A lot of them have been bulldozed out.
And so the Quails Forever group planted a 30-foot wide strip of native grass and wildflowers on each side of that hedgerow, and then on 3 little breaks in the hedgerow we've planted food plots, and this benefits not only quail but all wild birds.
Exactly. You know, they're just like us. They want a place to eat, drink, and shelter, right?
Yes.
And you have to have that in order for wildlife to flourish. And Wendell, I am so in love with agritourism, and I'm so in love with, I grew up on a farm, and I love all of the things that you're doing, because we've gotten so far away from our heritage. Children don't know where food comes from. They trying to come to some place like your facility is just a huge educational process, and it's taking it back to our roots, because I think you have to know where you've come from to know where you're going. And I applaud you for all of this. Now, where is the farm located?
It's 2 miles east of Hiawatha, on 36 Highway. The first interchange east of Hiawatha is the Mulberry Road exit.
And I love that. The Mulberry Road. Doesn't that sound like Mayberry RFD? It's Mulberry Road on... What a great road to be located on. Now if we can just get it paved.
Well, it's
that's in the process, isn't it?
Next fall they're going to start grading that to pave our road. The actual address of the farm is 1774 230th Street, Hiawatha, Kansas 66434. For people that have GPS systems in their phones or their vehicles. It's very easy to find. US 36 Highway parallels the whole south side of the farm. So as people travel up and down 36, they usually notice our barn conference center, which now,
you can see it right from the road.
Right. They can see our vineyard from the road. So it's kind of a landmark.
It is huge, and I think you're right. Mr. Klinefelter and his entire family, I think, would be extremely proud of everything that you're doing. You're so dedicated to it. It takes somebody with passion, dedication, and vision, and that kind of describes you, doesn't it? Now, you don't have to answer that, because I know you're looking at me going, my head's getting big. Don't say these things. But I think that's what it's taking. And now, I know you've got a group coming up here, a music group as well, that is coming, and it's a whole summer festival type of...
Well, we've actually started a new cultural series that's going to be centered in and around the Klinefelter barn, and it's called Arts at the Barn. It will be comprised of musical concerts, art shows, craft demonstrations, and theater productions. So that's going to be an ongoing series. We will be continually booking new events as we go. We've already had a very successful first concert a few weeks ago. We have another concert this Saturday, and the next event after that's scheduled so far is June 13th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Care Radio's own Greg Boozer will be giving a blacksmithing demonstration.
Oh my gosh! I didn't know.
I did know
he was a blacksmith.
Extremely accomplished blacksmith.
And what's that date again? I want to come up there. I gotta watch Boozer do this.
June 13th, and he'll probably even let you pound some iron yourself.
Oh my gosh! I've got to tell my cousins. They are their father was a blacksmith, and they really want to learn some of that. So now, all right. I'm running out of time. We got so much more to cover. You got to come back and see me again, Wendell.
Okay.
But I Googled this last night, Klinefelter Barn, and there were so many things that came up. Facebook pages, events calendars, everything. What's the best place? What's the best numbers and websites for people to get in touch with you?
Well, we don't have a landline at the farm. They can call my cell phone number, which is 785-741-2829. And I can answer questions about the barn. If someone wants to come for a farm tour, our trail systems, even though they're not totally finished, are completely open to the public. And if someone wants a tour of the trails before they actually come out and try it on their own, we're more than glad to drive them around and show them where they all go. We have trail maps, and that's the best way. If somebody just wants to call me, then I can direct them to other sources of information.
I'll tell you, Wendell, you're so accomplished. This was great. You've got to come back. As the Klinefelter farm evolves, I really want you to come back and see us. You've got Wendell's telephone number. Google up Klinefelter Farm. There's projects underway. I want to hear, next time I want you to come and talk to me about the things you plan for the future. And thank you so much. It was such a pleasure for me to have you in here.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
And remember, call me for everything real estate. 367-3116.
No one knows the country like